Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Surprise. I thought since it was a bank holiday Monday that, well, I might go live and give you a little good morning walk. But I'm not too sure what to talk about today. 'Cause... Oh, who's that? Paul, good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning, comrade. But yes, good morning, good morning, good morning. For all of us joining this morning, but yes, good morning, good morning, good morning. Like I say, I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to talk about this morning because I've already, I did my good morning walk on Saturday, and I normally sort of, fill up over the week as I'm what I'm going to talk about. Oh, who else we got? Miklan, good morning to you. Smila, good morning. Heya Hokomla from Finland. I think that's how you say it. Not 100% sure, but good morning to you. But yes, good morning, good morning, good morning. Like I say, welcome, welcome, welcome. You're in the Palace of Fun today. Hank, good morning to you from the Netherlands. Good morning. Loki, good morning to you from Northumberland. Good morning to you. I'll tell you what, though, it's super annoying. Yesterday when I was coming down here, just before I got up here, a fly sort of threw right into my eye. And it's still today. It's almost like I feel like I've got part of it still in there. But yeah, I don't know if it's just one of those things that just annoys you when you know it happens. Or at least you know when it's happened. Oh, Paul, good morning to you. There we go. I should keep up the live chat now. But yes, good morning, good morning, good morning to everyone joining. So, yeah. Fun stuff indeed. Like I say, we've got the, well, I suppose the number one topic is the, Tory leadership contest. Obviously that's going to finish in the next couple of days. Got a golfer out on the field today. But yes, obviously the Tory leadership contest is going to go today. JJ, good morning to you from The Hague. Good morning. But yeah, it's going to be, I think, really weird. Especially when we're going to get the results in. I don't think it's going to be close. I don't think it's going to be close. This is it. It's very obvious by this point, Liz Truss is going to be the absolute front runner in all this. And it's so obvious that she doesn't have a plan. She doesn't have any sort of plan going into this. And that's what's really scary. And I don't know if you've seen or if anybody knows about it, the Joseph Rowntree Foundation. Probably one of the best sort of, charitable foundations out there has come out, and their analysis has said, I even when I look at the figures, I'm having to double check them, because when I look at these figures, they look so bad that they must be off, and he's had to double check them so many times to the point where he's had to say, people paying their bills might be just a fantasy to a lot of people, because of the situation that we're going to go in. And I think the more that happens, the worse this is going to be. And I think the fact that they're coming out and saying that, this isn't just going to be this isn't just going to be like any old disaster. It's absolutely, terrifying. And I think that says it all, really. First time I've actually seen the bull there. Yeah, I think the more that this this crisis rumbles on, the worse it's going to be. Liz Truss doesn't have a plan. She's saying, oh yeah, we're not going to do any handouts, but she's going to have to U-turn immediately the second she goes into office. You've got an awful lot of Tory MPs suddenly turning around and going, we know we're about to probably elect Liz Truss, right? you know we're about to do that, right, guys? And there's an awful lot more who are starting to get jitters on this, because obviously being MPs, they'll be getting all sorts of kind of information about what's coming and what's probably about to happen. And even they, I think, don't have a clue. And I keep on saying it. I think November is when all this kicks off. I think you've got, September, October, and then November will be when, winter probably hits and sets in. And that's when I think we're going to start to see the real problems. And I've already seen, a lot of worrying stuff. Like I say, go check out the Joseph Rowntree Foundation and their report on this. And the fact that, their guy has said when he first did the figures, he couldn't believe, he couldn't believe the numbers, to the point where he had to say he was terrifying. He had to double check them because he thought they were so wrong. Morning. And I think that's where you get a lot of worry from this. And the fact that Boris Johnson has just sat there and done nothing, even though they know full well about the situation. And if you saw Martin Lewis, for those of you who don't know, Martin Lewis, certainly probably going to be a very big figure in the coming months, known as like the money saving expert, made his sort of name creating a website, showing people how you can like save money in all sorts of different types of areas. On Friday morning, he was doing the full run around the TV studios, and honestly, he was literally going from one show to another, at a dash. Trying to get from one studio to another, and then by 2:00 he was just in full-on rage mode against the government, saying, you've got government in power who are doing nothing as a crisis just unfolds right in front of them. And one thing, going back to the Joseph Rowntree Foundation, that they've said, a lot of pensioners who are already in fuel poverty are going to face disaster scenarios. What? And like I say, this is where I said, the guy had to double check because he couldn't believe, the numbers looked so bad. He had to double check. So, you've got all these pensioners who are already in fuel poverty, facing an absolute disaster. You've then got, and more pensioners, he said, will be pushed into fuel poverty. And this has got a lot of Tory MPs very, very worried because, old people are sort of their core voting base. And if they're upset, as we saw in the 2017 general election, if they're upset, then they will make their presence felt at the voting booth, as they did in 2017. So that is certainly got a lot of Tories in the jitters about what is going to go on and happen there. And that's just one of the many things that we are seeing. I talked yesterday about we had a cost of rent crisis, but then I watched another very interesting video by the Majority Report, and this again makes me very, very worried, because I worry that we're already setting up another potential absolute housing disaster, which could cause huge ramifications, just like the 2008 financial crisis did. So most of you should be aware of the term Fintech. And Fintech refers to basically financial technology. So any app that sort of helps you transfer sort of wealth, assets, whatever. That's sort of what Fintech basically is in a nutshell. And you combine this with the other technology that's come forward. I'm just trying to remember what they nicknamed it now. I think it was like property tech or prop tech, something like that, I think it was. And that's all things like, your apps like Airbnb, Rightmove, apps that basically at a press of a button can get you a mortgage out of thin air almost. And one of the things that they were saying was that a lot of mortgage companies are now looking at people who want to get mortgages and now accepting people who use that property as an Airbnb location. So you can already see the disaster that if someone gets a mortgage out based on the fact that they're going to have, so much money coming in from like the Airbnb rent or anything like that. That is why, especially in places like Edinburgh and elsewhere, even places like Cambridge, that are swamped with these types of places. The second, as we've seen local councils say, we need to properly tackle, Airbnbs, because, it's people buying up properties, sitting empty, that could be going to people in the local area, actually wanting a house. And the fact that it's not is causing huge problems in the area. And I think when you start to see people crack down, because it will come eventually, when we see people start to crack down on the Airbnb nonsense that's gone on for many a year, that's when I think we'll start to see some huge problems. Oh, Pretty Bird, greetings to you. Oh, Triziki, good morning to you from Switzerland. Whatever, internet names. But yes, good morning to people joining us. If I haven't said good morning to you, then good morning to you now. But yes, it's a fantastic bank holiday Monday today. I think it's going to be a pretty warm one again today by the sounds of it, even though it's a bit overcast, but never mind. So we've got, fact, good morning to you. So yeah, we've got an awful situation coming, and one that's headed, because if this next crash happens, as this guy was probably suggesting, if another housing crash happens, just like the 2008 one, this could not only end up taking down the whole, banking mortgage industry, this could potentially take down a lot of companies involved in the tech industry as well. That could mean that you could see a situation or a crash that makes the 2008 financial crash look like complete child's play, and that is worrying. That is very worrying. That could happen. But then again, what happened in 2008? Promises were made to sort of regulate the industry, but they were never made, or the regulations never made it through, mostly because of conservatives. Let's face it. So we're sleepwalking into yet another potential financial crash. So yeah, it's not going to be good. Of course, as we went through the Le Monde article, pointed out quite rightly, because of Brexit, we are now less stable to financial shocks. And unfortunately, we are going into a recession. All the signs are unfortunately there. That is the direction we're heading in. And the more it happens, yeah, how many British bankers face jail? None. Not one. I think the only country that actually took this seriously was Iceland. It was the only country in the world that actually went after its bankers who caused all this. So, yeah, none of this looks very, very good, to be honest, from a future perspective point of view. And the fact that you've got conservatives coming in, or at least the hard right of the party, the right-wing libertarians coming in, saying that they want to continue to tear up regulations, get rid of regulating bodies. It's very, very worrying. Very worrying indeed. And I know a lot of people out there who said, we should try and push the Tories into going for a general election. You're never going to convince the Tories, with the majority that they have, with the power that they currently wield, to go for a general election, unless significant problems start to take place in the Tory backbenches. And that is possible. That is actually possible. It is very likely that I think that Boris was the unifying factor, that was the wallpaper, as we've talked many a time about the cracks in the Tory party that we saw on display during the leadership race. The fact that you had 4 different far-right candidates in that race just shows how divided they are on this. And I think you're also going to see all these different factions, all these different groups make themselves known. Yeah. Oh yeah, the Edinburgh rubbish. Yeah, I've just had a friend up there actually. They've been at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival last week, and yeah, she said it's absolutely, not very good, shall we say? Yeah, I won't use her French. But the fact that, it's not just those strikes. We're having, come September, we're going to have a whole heap of strikes come forward. And, oh, there we go. And that's when a load of different, problems are going to hit. That's when a load of different problems are going to hit. So, Cathonic, good morning to you. But yeah, it's Joe from Dublin, good morning to you. So yeah, it's going to be very, very. Is there any signs of mutual aid groups in Edinburgh to help with the rubbish problem? I'm not 100% sure actually. It's not something I've really kept an eye on, but it is going to cause, I think, a lot of problems. For the SNP. I know, I can tell you that. Oh. Oh. There we go. Avoid this one. You can see these cygnets now, if you may remember, just a couple of months ago were very, very small. And now they're, well, look at them, they're huge. Just look at them. Oh. Don't know if you can see it. There's a little, don't know if you can see him. He dived underwater, but never mind. There's a lot more hen there. But yeah, there's a lot of problems I think the SNP are going to have to come to grips with, especially in the future. And I've said before, if I was Scottish, I wouldn't be voting for independence. I would not be voting for independence, especially now, because if you think you're seeing a hard time between a border between countries, what are you going to do about the border between, England and Scotland that has to be there? So yeah. But yeah, fun times. The S&P strike has nothing to do with the S&P, have nothing to do with it. Which government is responsible for allocating the funds to the Edinburgh Council? It is Nicola Sturgeon, and you'll be no too surprised. She is incredibly silent on this fact, incredibly silent on this matter. You know, there's a lot of people who are going around trying to say the SNP are blameless because, oh, look at the Edinburgh Council. It's, you know, Labour, the Conservatives and, you know, Lib Dems. The SNP aren't blameless in this, you know. Like it or not, they are somewhat responsible. And there's a lot of people out there who are desperately trying to say that they're not. And unfortunately, they are somewhat responsible. You know, and I've said many times before on this channel, there's a lot of talk that people love to say about Scottish independence, which is either blatantly not true or sometimes outright lies, which I think should be called out. And remember, I spent years, since the 2016 referendum saying, you know, Brexiteers should have been more honest about what they wanted and what they wanted Brexit to do. And I think the SNP has to be, I think, more honest about what the potential future for Scotland is. Because I've heard some wacky doodle ideas coming from people in the SNP, like saying that you should invest in Royal Bank of Scotland because Royal Bank of Scotland is going to become the first Bank of Scotland, just like, you know, the Bank of England is. And if you do that, we're all going to be rich. I do not make that up. That is an actual serious thing that that not all, that some Scottish nationalists portray as a serious idea. And I think when stuff like that is called out, it should, when people say wacky stuff like that, I don't care, even if I'm, you know, for them or against them, I will call it out, you know. Even I've said if Labour comes up with, you know, bad ideas, I will call them out because I think, you know, a bad idea is a bad idea. And I think that, you know, they need to be more honest about what the actual economic future of Scotland really is. I keep on hearing, you know, a lot of SNP people who are like pro-independence saying, oh, in reality, Scotland's a really rich country. But we've had one report in 2015 from, I think, was it Santander or was it Lloyd's, about the economic future of Scotland, which didn't paint the economic future of Scotland in a very good light. You've had one from the World Bank, which again did not point to a very good economic future for Scotland. I think there's been one from Edinburgh University that again hasn't pointed to very good economic futures for Scotland. And until I think they actually start to take those seriously and address them, they've got to seriously be honest with people. I don't think you can campaign for something and not be honest with people, because what happens then if, you know, as we're finding out with Brexit at the moment, what happens when it all comes tumbling down? You know? Oh, morning. So there are problems, and I think that when the S&P aren't honest about these problems that they would face, in a post-independent Scotland world, I think it does a massive disservice to their cause. I really think it does, I really think it does. How about the economic future of England? England will do all right. England will actually do far, far better with Scotland. Without Scotland, the bizarre, truth is we have a far larger population. We've got probably the vast majority of certainly resources. We've got the economic base, diminished as it is. If they were to actually seriously invest in it, it would take some time, but they could revive. They could revive, manufacturing, and all this could be powered very, very much from, by essentially what the financial centre of London is. London is the economic driver of this country, like it or not, and that goes for Scotland as well. So, and honestly, I think it comes down to telling the truth. I think that if they can't be honest with those reports, and I've seen many people who are, independence supporters, whenever those types of, reports come up, they bat them away as if they shouldn't be, as if they just should be ignored. And I think that does a massive disservice to their cause, because if you can't talk honestly and openly about what the economic future of your country is, then you're already starting off on a very, very bad foot, for it. So yeah, that's my thoughts. Like I say, if the people of Scotland really want an independence referendum, then I think they should be told by the people who want independence the honest truth. I mean, what's wrong with saying that? It's not it shouldn't be a controversial statement, but sometimes it is. Yeah, like the Brexit referendum. The sad part is you're seeing a lot of people say that. You're seeing a lot of people use those types of tactics. In fact, when the hustings was held recently in Edinburgh, something that again doesn't do their cause any good was where you had they've said that those weren't S&P supporters, but they were all campaigning for Scottish independence. They've come out and said, it's not a good look where you've got your independent supporters shouting scum and calling, pensioners names and spitting on them as they're going into these hustings. Yeah, it's not a good look, guys. It's not a good look. Especially one girl was pelted by an egg. Yeah, it's not a good look, guys. And to be honest, I'm not going to say, all of the, are like that. But it is something that, should be called out, I think. Ta-da. bit bunnies. But yeah, if anyone ever wants to sort of come and have a talk with me about it, I'm more than happy to have a talk with someone. My Wednesday live stream, I've always said I've got pretty much an open invitation to anyone that sort of wants to come and sort of talk about issues or anything. You are more than welcome. Reach out to me on my Twitter. I'm more than happy to have a conversation with you. But yeah, I think this just goes through one of the sort of many troubles we're sort of facing at the moment. And a lot of people are also saying about Northern Ireland voting for independence as well. Now, people forget that it's not just Northern Ireland that are going to vote as in that referendum. It's people in the southern of Ireland as well, and there has to be both sides have to agree to reunification, and people forget that is a thing in the Good Friday Agreement. So you've got a population in Southern Ireland who might not want Northern Ireland to rejoin, purely for the fact that it will certainly make the Republic of Ireland's political situation very, very bad, because the DUP and the rest of the unionist forces might combine together and create a voting bloc between, I think it's like 12 and 15% of the vote they could capture. And do you really seriously think they're not going to start causing trouble in the Parliament in Ireland? There's a big argument for not wanting Northern Ireland, because that situation has still not been resolved. And remember, a lot of the violence we've seen very recently in Northern Ireland has been from the DUP side. Do you think that's going to stop? Do you think that's going to come to an end? Not necessarily. And I think there's a lot of people that don't take that into account when talking about Irish, reunification. Nope. But again, it's something I'm not against. If both sides want that vote, if both sides want that vote, then okay, let them have it. I think that is very, very likely in the next couple of years, because I think the Brexit solution, and the fact that you've got Liz Truss, who is going to trigger Article 16 probably within, I'd say, at least the first couple of days within her premiership, and then try and force her Northern Ireland Protocol bill through. That's going to cause a whole heap of problems in itself, and that is going to reopen the whole Brexit debate again, like it or not. So yeah, and we're going to see a trade war probably happen, and in a trade war, the biggest economy always wins. Guess who's got the bigger economy? It's the EU. Not only that, you are also likely to see the US join in on this as well, because this will ultimately cause a lot of problems with the Good Friday Agreement. And they have said very plainly that if you upset the Good Friday Agreement, it's not going to happen. So there are a lot of problems coming down the pipe. And Liz Truss is not equipped to solve this problem. And obviously you've got the worst kept secret in the world that Boris Johnson wants to take part, wants to sort of take back his power, one of the worst kept secrets there is. Whether he will succeed in that, of course, or not, is another question. But anyway, yes, thank you very much for joining me for this bank holiday good morning walk. Like I say, it was a bit of a surprise, so if I've surprised you, surprise. But yes, I hope you've enjoyed yourself. As always, we'll see you next weekend for the good morning walk. And of course, remember to hit that like and share button on your way out. And of course, there's links down below. You know the drill by now. And of course, we'll see you all next time. Have a fantastic week, and we'll see you then. Hang on. There we go.